I'm in sunny Finsbury Park today, and I found these lovely little yellow flowers. They're wildflowers, and they seem to have these tiny, tiny insects on. Today, I've got a test between the Nikon Z8 with the 105mm macro and the OM1 Mark II with the 90mm Mzuiko. What I'm trying to do, which is a different thing than I normally do, because normally my subjects would be a lot bigger, so I would stay further away if I can, give them a bit more room. But I really need serious magnification today. I came along yesterday with my 150mm and my EF life size converter and the macro ring, and I put that on the Z8, and I got some okay shots, but I could tell magnification's not enough, and also the sharpness wasn't enough as well. So I need to get as close as possible with the sharpest shot and see what I can get there. Normally I would tell you to stay away from your subject, but with these I've got to get right in there. I try and mention this name properly. I don't know if this is exactly correct, but this is what I've got that's close enough anyway. Anyone want to correct me in the comments can. I'm never right about these things. I'm really surprised I even got these in flight. One of the problems I never really thought of till I started shooting was just how close I'd have to get to the subject. As you can see here, try to zoom in on it for you, but believe me, I had to get really close. The lens was sometimes touching the flowers. I didn't actually notice it until after I looked at it, but when you actually look at how close I was. What was becoming increasingly frustrating was the angles I had to sit at. It was very, very hard to get any kind of good shot. I was blocking the light, as you can see, with the hood. So at one point I decided I'll try it, like without the hood. As you can see, the angles were hard because there was stinging nettles absolutely everywhere on my right hand side. And on my right hand side was the sun, so I would have liked to have gone more round to the right, but I couldn't get into the stinging nettles. As you can see, the sun was high in the sky as well, so this was just making things really difficult. I worked out a better way of shooting. Instead of shooting at eye level, I actually got up and shot down towards the ground more often. Just made it a bit easier because I was coming at the same sun angle. I was shooting so close that even when the backgrounds were pretty close, they weren't a problem because I was so close to the actual subject, it still blurs out the background. I've said before, that's one thing I really like doing, is making sure that background doesn't detract from the subject. It's okay to have a background in there. It's nice to have a lot of color in there and things like that, but it can really ruin your image if the background's too close. And it's one of the things I've had a conversation with one of my followers online, Richard. We've talked about backgrounds on the OM system. We found it quite difficult at times, but when you're getting really, really close, it's not really an issue. This is with the OM system. I thought this would possibly be the best lot of images I got, but again, because it's a 2x crop, it's not always what it seems. Got some okay images, but I thought they would have been better than the Nikon with the first setup I used. And now we move on to the Nikon with the Sigma 105. Again, got some okay images, not brilliant, but I mean, considering how small these subjects were, these didn't turn out too bad. And that's on any of the systems really. Anything I used, considering they're such a small subject, wasn't too bad, but not great. And this, surprisingly, was the Sigma 150mm. And This next image I've got coming up here turned out to be the best shot of the day with the most detail. So I don't know. So as you can see, in conclusion, I was actually surprised I got the better shots on the first day at the same time of day. So the sun was in the same position and everything like that with the Nikon Z8 and the 150mm Sigma and the EF life size converter and the macro ring. I was actually surprised because it's a non-native lens. I got less shots with that setup, but I ended up getting probably the most detailed shot with that setup. I didn't like it when I was using it, but obviously the results speak for themselves. The same as when I've used that lens on my Canon, I have got a problem with that setup, I know. There must be something with the joint. So if you move it just a bit, it's like the lens is not on the camera. You have to move it back to make sure that the contacts are coming in right. So it was very frustrating on that level. But like I said, probably gave me the best shot. All of the setups were quite easy to use once I got used to what I was doing. I had to open up the aperture on the OM. I was shooting around about f4, f4.5. With the Nikon, I think I went down to about f5, f5.6, because like I said, I forgot about diffraction. When you get that close to a subject, diffraction does become a problem. And if you're shooting around f11, f13, something like that, it actually kind of puts you in the range of about f22, something like that. So you're better off opening up your aperture, getting close, and then your real physical aperture is roughly around about f10, f11. So something I've had to think about on the day. I've been so used to shooting, trying to get a good distance from my subject, which I just couldn't do. I couldn't do with any of these setups, really. I had to get as close as possible to get them as large in the frame as possible. Otherwise, the images would have just been terrible. They're not the greatest, but the fact that I even got those shots, I'm quite pleased with some of them. Like I always say, you have to experiment. Don't think you're going to rock up to any subject unless it's the same size subject and the same distance you're shooting at all the time, so you can leave your settings all the same light, everything like that. It's not really going to happen like that. I shoot different size subjects at different speeds, different light, so I'm constantly changing. And that's the one big takeaway I'd say with this. Always experiment, always try out different things, because you might find that what you thought was a good setup is not a good setup for the subject that you're shooting. So I'm going to leave it on that, and I've done another couple of outings, so hopefully I can get another video together for you soon. I was trying to get my elusive mayflies, so I'll let you know how that went. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.